Yeah, it looks like we got Michael Buffer in here. So you know what that means. It must be the main event.
Coming from the colonial state capital of North Carolina, a football program steeped in history, but hungry for a win against its arch rival. Could some Matera magic be the Keymon Bailey to unlocking a win this Friday?
Oh my God.
This is Edenton. And for the reigning Northeastern Coastal Conference champs, the three-time conference champs, who have taken 4 straight from the Aces, but one Antonio Moore. That's Northeastern. Friday, we will witness the most anticipated game in the NENC. Are you ready? Are you ready? For the thousands going to watch, from Elizabeth City, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
The best coverage of high school and college athletics in Northeast North Carolina begins now. This is NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
The 9th episode of the 3rd season of the NENC Sports Radio Show. Owen Hassel here, sports editor for the Daily Advance newspaper in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. Working alongside me, as always, Malcolm Shields, Advance sports writer. You heard the cold open. We're in the middle of Edenton Northeastern Football Week. Always exciting, always thrilling. You know things are going to happen that night. Football things. Northeastern Edenton things is really what I call it.
Yep.
But here to talk about it, the Eagles football coach, Antonio Moore. It's been a long week, Coach, even though nobody's been in school. Well, almost nobody's been in school. You haven't been in school, Elizabeth City, but Edenton has. I think Dare County was Wednesday because of the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew. So a lot of different things going on besides sports. How are you dealing with that?
Well, just taking it one day at a time. You just don't know what's going to happen day to day. I'm watching the weather. Might be another pop-up storm. It's been really crazy this year. I mean, it's been awkward, you know. But we're taking it one day at a time. You have to deal with the cards that's dealt to you and just continue staying focused and get ready for this big game.
Well, you're getting a lot of aces dealt to you on Friday. Of course, we're going to talk a lot more to Coach Moore throughout the show. But first, for more on Northeastern North Carolina sports, follow us on Twitter. Also use the hashtag NENC Sports to keep the discussion rolling. You can follow us at NENC Sports. Then for me, I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
Coach Antonio Moore has Twitter.
Yeah. I finally came from the dead, you know, and got into civilization. And it's been fun. I mean, I can keep up with what you're doing.
Is that the only reason you got on Twitter, to check what I'm doing? It's a little bit stalker-like.
I know that, you know, you guys do a good job doing play-by-play games, and I've been missing out on a lot. So I'm just glad to be here, but be on right now.
What's your Twitter handle? That's what we want to know.
2Live44.
Not 2Live Crew, 2Live44.
2Live44.
What's that mean?
Well, I was a live type guy when I played football. I mean,
2 Live, maybe.
Yeah, I was 2 Live, and 44 was my number.
Okay.
You kind of figured that, didn't you?
The number part, yes.
And I was 2 Live when we had parties after the game also.
Okay. But on the field, you were too legit to quit.
Too legit to quit. Yeah.
All right. There are more ways to stay involved with sports other than me and Antonio Moore's Twitters in Northeastern North Carolina in the form of a blog. Go to nencsports.wordpress.com for tidbits that aren't always in the Daily Advance, plus interviews and video from various Northeastern North Carolina games. Let's get fired up for Edenton Northeastern after this.
Like our Facebook page and give us your questions and comments. Find us at facebook.com/NENC Sports.
WRVS 89.9 provides training for all students and volunteers interested in radio broadcasting. But without your donations, this radio station will go silent. Let's make a sound today. Now is a great time to give back to public radio. Make a tax-deductible donation by calling 252-335-3985 or online at www.ecsu.edu/WRVS.
I'm a student athlete, which means I'm still learning.
I'm still growing.
I'm getting important lessons about perseverance, teamwork,
determination, respect, and dedication through playing sports in my school.
Mom, Dad, Coach, in a few years,
I'll probably forget a lot of the details, but I won't forget the lessons I learned.
From the way you act towards my teammates,
coaches, referees, and other fans.
What kind of lesson do you want me to learn? I'm watching.
Sportsmanship, together we make the right call.
This message has been brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association.
And we've been outside in the rain. Oh, it sounded crazy last Thursday.
Yeah.
Being out in that rain.
It definitely did.
Compared to inside in the rain, right? Last Thursday, of course, more moving of games. That has obviously been a topic all season. First flight at Pasquotank, Camden at Northeastern. Both played in just driving rain throughout the game. Coach Moore, you already had a game with rain with Plymouth, but that was really in the first half, and it cleared up. And it wasn't as hard of a rain, I think, as Thursday.
No, Thursday was it was miserable. We was just trying to get the game over with. It was.
So was Camden.
Yeah, I noticed. But it was miserable. I didn't think I would have to go through that again this year, considering Plymouth. But we had to get the game in because we had a big week coming up this week, and we didn't want to play on Monday, and we had already pushed it back. So we had to get it done.
And really, you got lucky because both you and Camden's bye week was the same week.
Exactly.
To move it to what was supposed to be Friday, that's luck. How many times does that happen?
Oh, it just doesn't happen. But everything's meant to be. It shows it was meant to be.
Yeah. Well, with all this wet weather, there's been some cleanup. Curry Tuck had some damage to its batting cages with baseball. The middle school softball dugout, the whole roof gone from the home. I think it's the home side dugout. Wow. They had bleachers from the visitors side for football got flipped over. And we're talking not just a set of 2 rows. We're talking 8 or 10 rows. It's got flipped over twice.
Wow.
Moved that back. And it could have been a heck of a lot worse, but that's really the most damage I saw with any facility in the few days I've been able to get out. And then I saw where Curry Tuck students and faculty were helping out. I was getting some photos of it. It was really great to see that many show up because school's been out. And then you guys decided to do the same thing, clean it up around the school, around Corinth Baptist Church. I saw that as well. What came about with that? What was the?
Well, we just looked at the situation and saw that we were blessed to come out of the storm okay. We didn't have too much damage at the school. And we looked in the paper and saw a lot of people, going through problems. So Coach Johnson and myself got together and said, you know what, let's get the cross country and football team together and see who we can help. And just to let people know that it's not all about us. We're always trying to lend a helping hand. And the kids bought into it. I actually had fun. I don't know the last time I picked up branches. When I picked branches up all day. We went down to a church right beside the old Elizabeth City school. There's a church right beside there, and we went in there.
Or Forerunner Ministries
exactly.
On Elizabeth Street.
They lost everything. It was an eye-opener. We walked in there. Everything was gone. We had all the food in the back. Was floating around a couple of days ago, and they lost everything. We went in and helped them out. It was an eye opener to the kids because they saw now that anything can happen, anytime, any day, and when it happens to you, you want somebody to help you. So stop crying. I can see the tears coming through your eyes on me.
Yeah, yeah. But no, seriously, it was. For not just this part, the northeast corner, but all of eastern North Carolina, Greenville, Lumberton, Fayetteville, these places they're out of school all week. They're probably going to be out maybe half of next week. And you feel for them. It's the idea of your thoughts and prayers with them. Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's just up here. I thought where it could really have been bad is the fact that just a few weeks earlier, 10, 12 inches of rain. You saw what happened with Bertie and the Kashai River.
Yes.
And I know Bertie got nailed again. And that's where I thought that the entire northeast corner could really see a worse brunt than other areas because those places didn't have that rain a few weeks prior. We're still trying to dry out from that.
Yes.
And then here's another 10-plus inches of rain. It just, when is it going to stop?
Well, I will tell you this. I don't know. For the time being, you know, we're healing up. I know the counties are healing up mentally. But football can bring a little therapy.
I'm glad you brought it up because now we can easily segue into the game that everybody's been talking about, been circled on the calendar like it is every year. Edenton Northeastern always brings out the best in both y'all. It's that must-see game. It's amazing to think, mentioned earlier, you've won 4 straight in this series. It doesn't feel that way, does it? You even were surprised to hear that because every game is just so
Thank you, Owen.
Tight.
Thank you. 4 straight?
4 straight.
Oh, 3 straight, but you giving us that 4th one?
You won the playoff game in 2012.
Okay.
13, 14, 15.
All right, I thought you was trying to make it a divine dimension that we going to win this one. You said 4 straight.
No, Edenton's going to win this Friday, so I'm not worried about that. So 4 straight right now.
Well, I'll tell you what. That means I don't have to look at the paper on Friday because I already know it's not.
Well, no, Malcolm told me to say that.
I believe that. I saw Malcolm in the grocery store a couple of days ago.
Oh, he told me about this. Let's keep it PG.
I said, Malcolm, give me a score. Nah, you got to wait till Thursday. Well, Friday. So I didn't push him too much.
Actually, the crazy part about it is deadlines for the Daily Advance have been changed because we get the paper from Greenville, and Greenville's having trouble getting it up here. So we have a Thursday, Friday paper out now, which includes everything.
Really? So it's going to be there tomorrow?
That's meaning Thursday.
Oh my God.
You got to understand the show is played on Thursday.
Okay.
Play along here. It's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
So why Edenton Northeastern? Why such a competitive match? Why is this every year just so intense?
You guys made it that way.
We didn't make it anyway.
A.J. Felton fumbling the football. That's what started it.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I have written a story that.
Oh yeah, it brought back memories. Thank you for bringing back memories.
I thought you would like it.
Oh my God,
it's been 5 years. Is that hard to
believe?
Has
it been 5 years?
5 years since the Felton fumble. That just changed it all.
Changed everything. We're going in to go up 2 touchdowns. Well, 10 points.
Been up 2 scores.
2 scores. Everything's falling in place.
And you've run that play how many times?
Hundreds.
All right.
AJ sees the hole open up. Forgets to take the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They jump on it. They score. We lose the game. Thank you for bringing it back up.
Right. And these are the Edenton Northeastern things I've talked about. The next year, the 2 pick sixes in 2012. But crazy enough, that's the last time Edenton has won in this series, was that game at the Northeastern Athletic Complex. Then you come back in the playoffs in 2012. Jadari Liverman, welcome to high school football for him, 40-8. But every game since then has been incredibly close. Last year, if there was any year where Malcolm and I, we probably both thought Northeastern's going to win this, and it could get ugly. Yeah, it got ugly. As in, Edenton was driving with the chance to win the game.
Defense got to stop.
Right.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Antonio doesn't like both sides of the story.
No, I really don't.
The hallmark of journalism, the both sides of a story theme. Not a fan, Antonio Moore. You played for Northeastern when it was a 4A school. Edenton was 2A then. So the rivalry had to be different then compared to now. Was it even one? It just seemed different, didn't it?
Let me tell you what. I was telling the coaches and I were talking today, and we the coaches that went to Northeastern, the Green Twins, Lee Johnson, myself, Coach Comstock never missed a game. And we're like, Edenton is our rival. You know, we used to talk about Greenville Rose, you know, Rocky Mount, but Edenton. It tells a lot about Edenton program. You know, when they were 2A and we was 4A, they were pretty good, their division. So, you know, when we dropped down, I mean, it's the same. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Edenton's program.
And I asked Coach Wes Matera this. Ben was the head coach in that 2011 game, now an assistant and athletic director at the school. If you don't win in 2011, is this rivalry like it is today? He said probably not. Probably not, because maybe that carries into 2012 to where it's not as hyped up. We've lost to them so many years, and it might not be what it is now. You hate to pin it all on one game, but sometimes it just takes that one momentum swing.
Yeah.
Are you the same way at 2011 really changed this?
It really did, because, I mean, it was always Hereford County you was chasing.
Bertie
you was chasing. You know, Edenton, Northeastern was the bottom of the NCC pretty much. Well, I'm not going to say bottom. Mid NCC.
Mid-card.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, Bertie, Hereford County, mid, Northeastern, Edenton at the top.
Edenton last year hampered by injuries, but Malcolm, I hate to pin it all on injuries. You've seen Edenton a lot more than I have. What's made Edenton so much better this year than last year?
Obviously the health, but I think just being together another year, being able to be in the same system, you know, Coach Hager talked about throughout the offseason, guys getting stronger. All that's kind of built together, and they've had the luck of, you know, being healthy and really playing well on defense. I think with everyone looking at Keemon Bailey and Deshaun Hall in terms of running football, that defense has been pretty stout this year.
What's really opened your eyes to Edenton this year compared to last year when, yeah, injuries once again, but you only beat them by one, even with that.
They look more confident. I mean, they look more confident. They have more swag. You know, and when Edenton kids get swag, you have some problems. You know, and they Hargis kept them together, limited injuries. I don't think any kids got kicked off the team. But usually, you know, during the course of a year, they lose a couple, and all of them still intact. So, you know, I would say more swag, more confident.
DeMar Sutton, quarterback. He's been out, got elbow injury at Bertie. Was possible that he could play come this Friday. Will that happen?
I don't know. He was cleared today.
Cleared on a Wednesday evening.
Exactly. He was cleared today and in practice in nearly 2 weeks. He's out right now. He's our emergency quarterback. You know, but I don't know if he'll see any time. I mean, you know, I don't know how fair it would be just to stick him in the Edenton game after being out 2 weeks. But he was cleared, and he threw the ball well today. So, you know, we'll see.
Malcolm, we talked about how unfair it is for a 2A program to say, all right, there's our starting quarterback. He's out for 2 or 3 weeks. That would devastate a lot of 2A schools. Oh, we got this guy who's a Division I recruit that we can put in as a backup. That's really difficult for us right now. We're going to struggle mightily. But here comes J.R. Walker. I thought looked very poised at first flight. And I know Camden, really not going to tell much from Camden, but First Flight being a team that was undefeated going into that game. I watched First Flight play very well at Pasquotank, even though it was the circumstances with rain, both teams playing it. So First Flight, not a bad team. And no mistakes at First Flight. Even one snap went over J.R. Walker's head. He didn't try to do anything crazy with it. Just fell on the ball. Little things like that you want to notice that first game to see where his head's at. So J.R. Walker, you think he'll be ready for the moment?
I think so. I mean, the fact that you put him in last year against Currituck, he had a great game in terms of running the football, and then during that playoff run last year, he was a guy who stepped up defensively. I think the kid is ready to, you know, for a prime time type of matchup against Edenton.
Well, I tell you what, you got to remember, like you said, JR, he's not a normal sophomore. He played a lot as a freshman. He was the backup quarterback last year and looked good at times. This whole entire summer, he was the starting quarterback in all our 7-on-7s, all our tournaments, because DeMar was doing basketball. So, I mean, you know, he's been there. He's confident.
But you've had to change your offense to some degree with JR at quarterback. Is that correct to say you've had to tweak a few things?
Well, I thought that think about it. Jadari Lieberman was the same type of quarterback. Devontae Roundtree was the same type of quarterback. JR is the same type of quarterback. JR can throw the ball.
I noticed that at first flight. Yeah. I was surprised a couple of deep passes he threw. I thought Tyleek Overton was going to turn into like a blocking type player because JR is going to throw the short pass, but he threw a nice bomb to him.
Well, 7-on-7 is all about throwing in the summer. I mean, it's no different in the game. You know, you roll out, you throw the ball. I mean, he can throw the football. He just is fortunate that he has good legs, but he can throw the football. So, you know, people are going to see that JR can throw the football. I don't think too many people know that.
And not to mention another guy who's not really a sophomore, who's called a sophomore.
The man-child. The incredible Huck. David Banner. David Banner is believed to be dead. You don't remember that, do you?
Mm-mm.
The Incredible Huck?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I was thinking T.I. or something. You got your names. We got it. Trevion, so freshwater, so clean.
Yep. So clean. Where did that come from?
Why do I have to explain this, Malcolm? Do I have to explain it?
Let's explain it.
Outcast.
Oh, well, I forgot. I got the. Owen's a soul man.
Yes, he is.
So you got a 2A school with 2 Division I prospects on it who are just sophomores. I don't know of any other school in 2A that has that. And I know the coaches at Edenton are going, what can we do with this? But what's worrying you with Edenton the most right now?
Dive.
Okay.
Dive, and more dive.
Because didn't Keemon Bailey kill you twice?
Oh, my God. Dive. Dive.
And you're not in a swimming pool right now.
You know what? The thing that kills me about that and is so fascinating that when people run the dive, it's not intended to go 70, 80 yards.
It did last year against you.
Yeah, I know. See, you love mentioning stuff like that. But dive, that dive play, if you have to stop the dive.
Is that the most important thing to stop in an option?
It is. If you stop the dive, teams tend to panic a little. Because everything runs off the dive. But if you can't stop the dive, it's going to be a long night.
Malcolm, one player in this game who could be an unlikely hero. We've already talked about the skilled guys, so to speak, the ones that we've heard of all year. What's one guy you see that he could be a guy that makes a big catch or maybe a game-saving tackle, something like that?
Both sides? Or just one guy?
One guy from each team.
Northeast, I go with probably Darius Walton. I mean, just his versatility that he's shown the past couple weeks. I think he'd be able to break a big run, or if they have to throw it to him out of the backfield, I think he can make someone miss. For Edenton, I'm gonna say Davon Colston, very solid linebacker, kind of get around and make some plays. Very sound. So I think those 2 guys can be different makers.
Should have thought about this because I'm not so sure myself. It might just be the usual suspects, although I like what you did there. I want to think somebody on defense for Northeastern. And maybe a Tamon Stallings could be somebody who anchors things.
Tamon Stallings seems like he's been there forever.
Yes, that's part of the reason why I'm saying this. 7th-year senior.
Yeah.
English 4 is hard. No. Tamon's a great kid. It's not been 7 years, 4th year. People don't be calling in now.
Yeah, don't do that.
For Edenton, is Luke Hoggard would be an unlikely guy? Just because of the stable of back. Kyrese Phelps, maybe between those 2, I'd have to say. Here's something I'm going to be interested in: Edenton's secondary. If there's been one part of Edenton that has been shaky, at least the past few years in this rivalry, it's been the secondary. Now, Antonio, I can bring up a memory Coach Moore will like. Was back in 2014. Edenton's got 4th and short. It's 4th. I think it's like 4th and 2 inside the 10. Trey L. Beasley doesn't get it. Stop him. That would have been the go-ahead score. That might have been the game. Instead, a big-time stop. Game's tied. You just throw it up.
Jadari 11 makes a play.
Just throw it up there and done. I said, oh, boy. The one and I say that, too, because later on for Edenton, the playoffs, got to the 3rd round of the 2As, played Clinton. Clinton don't like to pass the ball. Clinton likes to run.
Exactly.
But they saw something in that secondary they could exploit, and a couple of big pass plays, and Clinton had the edge it needed just to roll. So I don't know if that'll come into play again this Friday, but it's something that has come into play in the past couple of years. Although 2012, the secondary came up pretty well for Edenton. 2 pick sixes. I'm kind of messing up my own argument, aren't I? These are Northeastern Edenton things. Remember I talked about Travis McWilliams from Northeastern, the receiver, in 2013. Makes a catch, like a quick out, I think, and just the ball just falls out of his hand. It just pops up out of his hand like some popcorn, and the Edenton kid just catches it. So what was that? Northeastern Edenton stuff. I have not been able to explain it any other way, and no one else can explain it better for me, so that's what it's going to be. Now, we mentioned again the 2011, the 5-year anniversary, how this became like a renewal of this heated rivalry. I wanted to rank the Northeastern teams from 2010 to 2015. I don't want to include 2016 in the day because that chapter has not been fully written yet. So I'm going to go from number 6, number 1, and I'm going to get your thoughts after I do this, and I give them explanations for each one. You might have something different. Maybe you do. That'd be fine. Number 6, I'm going to go with 2011. I mean, not just the loss to the Aces, but losing in the 2nd round. You've been at least past the 2nd round every year otherwise. So that's where that goes. Number 5, last year, 2015. Winning the conference undefeated, everything's good, but the head-scratching loss at Kinston just leaves a bitter taste probably in everybody's mouths if you're a Northeastern fan. Number 4, 2013. The offside call that changed everything. Southwest Onslow.
Oh, my God.
Got to the East Final, though. That's why I've got this number 4 on the list. Got to the East Final.
Pretty good team.
And it was a good team. I call them Permian. Southwest Onslow. They acted like Permian. They should have heard the radio announcers for Southwest Onslow. We're going to play these Northeastern Eagles. They're going to come in here hard, but we're going to come in here just as hard, too. Because we are the Stallions of Southwest Onslow. And right now, we are going to have a sit-down exclusive interview with Coach Phil Padgett. He has been the coach for 45 years.
The great Phil Padgett.
Yeah, Phil Padgett. The statue is going to be unveiled on the show right after this.
He got off. I'm never going to forget him. He got off the bus in a pair of khaki shorts and flip-flops.
Smooth. So let's see where we're at. Number 3, 2012. I thought that was the best assortment of talent you've had. 2012, and that's even including what's going to be number 1 on the list. I think we know what number 1 on the list will be. Then the Tarboro T. Punched him. 3rd round.
Tarboro was pretty good.
Yeah, I said that.
I mean, I'm going to tell you this. I mean, you couldn't see how good they were on film.
But you had at least 3, 4, maybe 5 guys commit to Division I programs.
Yes.
From that team.
Yes. And Tarboro made us look like
Go ahead.
Had a couple boys club kids.
Mm-hmm. So that's number 3. Number 2, 2014. If there was any team I thought that you could at least strongly pencil in for a state championship berth, it was this team.
Yeah.
And then Jadari gets hurt at Washington, and I don't know what happened the rest of that. It just
and the kids like eyes was big as a quarter.
Mm.
You know, what do we do next? Jadari's gone. And
then, of course, number 1, 2010, reaching that state championship game, 2AA. probably made the entire region go, you know what, I see you got this grimacing look, so that's my list. But you made it to the big game, though.
But you know what's interesting about that? That team was good, but to me, it didn't rank. It wasn't a top 3 team.
Not even top 3 of this decade.
No.
Who would be number 1?
Number 1 would be the team that we when we lost to Washington. That was number 1. Number 2 was the team before that.
2013.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then I would say the year that we lost to Tallboro.
2012.
And then I would say 2010.
4th. Yeah. I want to keep something in mind for people listening that we're making it sound like these teams near the bottom just weren't that good of teams. All these teams had 10-win seasons. Almost every one of these has won a conference title except for 11 and 12. One got to a state championship, and he's putting that 4th.
Oh,
these are riches.
Well, what I'm going to tell you, the reason they were 4th, talented-wise, they played together. You know, we didn't have too many people that stuck out. They played together. They did what they was told. They were good kids. You know, and we got lucky because Southwest Edgecombe lost before they got to us, and they had beat us pretty bad the first game of the year.
But here's how things have changed. That team that you put number 1, Southwest Edgecombe, put a hurting on them at home in the East regionals, in the East semis. It tells you how things can change if you're still hungry and you got some guys back, that kind of thing. But that 2012 team to me was like, I call it the sexy team. Because you had Jamion Moss, who ended up going to Virginia Tech. Dabe Whitby, who was a Division I guy. Mackenzie Etheridge, who went to Wingate for a while. KJ Melton.
Oh, he's
still at A&T.
He was a player of the game. He was a player of the game. When they played Thursday night? Last Thursday.
Or kind of A&T?
Yeah, he was a player of the game.
And you got Tariq Cohen for A&T. So to say we know the running back Tariq Cohen, if you follow HBCU football at least, or even just FCS football in general, he's the man.
Kenyon Bailey. Same type of running back.
Kemon Bailey, same as Tariq Cohen.
Same size, same
Yeah,
type.
That's a good comparison. And you have called Travion Freshwater
Eddie George.
Eddie George. He's giving you Eddie George. That should make you smile.
Well, we call him Baby Durante McNeil.
Also not bad.
Baby, meaning he's going to grow up soon.
Yeah. Well, let's take a break, and we'll get to more Northeastern North Carolina athletics.
Keep this conversation going right now on our Facebook page. More NENC Sports Radio Show is coming up.
WRVS 89.9 knows sports. Hear the best coverage of local high school and college athletics with NENC Sports Radio Show. Thursdays at 7 p.m.
It's high school athletics back again.
Yes.
We're going to be with you every step of the way. That's all I'm saying.
From the press box to press row brings HBCU and pro sports to your radio Saturdays at noon.
We're going to talk with some of the top HBCU players and some of the top college players in the country.
From the field to the court, get your sports here on WRVS 89.9, your community voice.
This is Edenton coach Paul Hoggart, and you're listening to NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
Got to jam out for at least one tune. It's going to be a whole lot of rocking Friday night at the Northeastern Athletic Complex. Probably, especially right after halftime when you hear that Montel Jordan beat. Northeastern loves to play that.
This is how we do it.
He's played that if Northeastern's trailing big.
Mm-hmm.
And other sports as well. And I'm going, this is how you do it? You're down 30? That's how you do it? No. Kids like it, though.
Yeah, they do.
Let's get this to Shimon now.
Jump on, get on me, all right.
I realize maintaining state championship games on certain days is necessary. You probably have that field or court set up for that, and you're playing on college campuses. But and also this week, sports really isn't a priority because of what's been going on in the state. But the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, they've got to give some leeway to the postseason for sports like volleyball and soccer because it's starting to get backed up and it's getting late in the year. Football possibly as well. If there's a few more, it's getting close for football as well. But right now, especially volleyball, pretty much just 1 week left, and a lot of school systems in the East have been out and are going to be out the rest of the week. So, to the state's credit, they did it for girls tennis. They moved the deadlines back for regional qualifiers, dual team playoffs. So please, NCHSAA, give those sports more time too to finish their schedules. Come on now.
Jump on. Jump on.
I also say that because Camden and Perquimans, they need to play that tiebreaker. And you could say, well, Owen, it won't be a tiebreaker yet. They haven't finished their conference games. They're playing Columbia and Creswell and Plymouth and Mamaski. It's going to be a tiebreaker needed.
Yeah.
Going to be tiebreaker needed. But you can't play 4 times in a week. Well, Perquimans still has 3 conference games left. Plus the tiebreaker, that's 4. They're looking at a dilemma. Camden's only got 2, but they're also trying to set up with teams that's very hard to get set up with Plymouth, Mesquite. So there's so many different scenarios, but you got to get it played by the end of the week.
Yeah.
There's only 1 more week left to do it.
Yeah.
So if nothing can be worked out, the possibility is there of a coin flip to decide the playoff seeding. They'll still be co-conference champions in the Coastal 10. These teams have been doing this tiebreaker almost every year because we know how the volleyball gets between Camden and Perquimans. But it could be a coin flip to decide it. I'm on the phone with Justin Roberson on Wednesday about he's thinking of different ideas, playing like a doubleheader at Columbia on Monday to try to. You're thinking of whatever you can think of. You're just running because you don't want to know what to do, but you don't want it to be a coin flip.
Right.
So I said, man, every time we keep talking about something that gets shot down, you might have to do a coin flip. And all of a sudden I hear, that will not happen. Christy Thatch in the background for women's volleyball. That will not happen.
Not looking forward to that.
I said, yes, ma'am. She said, that's not going. I will call Creswell and tell them to forfeit their match against us.
Man. Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
And you know what? If she called me with that in like intense, and I know how Coach Dash get.
Yeah.
Coach Dash get intense during volleyball and say, you better forfeit against us. Okay.
We'll take that L.
Yeah.
What an F.
Because the idea was Perquimans supposed to be at Columbia on Monday. They let Creswell come over, play both at one time, like best of 3, get it out of the way. Then you have to play Gates at home the next day. That's your senior night. Then you play Camden on Wednesday for the tiebreaker, either at Pasquotank or Northeastern. It has to be a neutral site. Everybody wants to see Perquimans Camden 3. We didn't get to see 2 because of friggin' football. Thanks, Coach. And we wanted to see the volleyball. And, of course, it ends up being great, even though Perquimans went right through Camden. That was the end of Camden's conference winning streak.
Wow.
They had been undefeated for a year and a half. A little more than a year and a half in the conference.
That's right, because they beat Perquimans twice last year.
Right. So that's what made it all the more special, at least for Perquimans, to just go in and take care of business, tie the things up. That's the way it should be last year in the Coastal 10, right? And decide it one more time. So that's the craziness I'm talking about here, trying to at least the state to understand what's going on. And not just here. We keep saying it. Fayetteville, Lumberton, Greenville, they're out of school for a week, probably half of next week. There's 3, 4, 5 games. It's crazy for everybody. We probably have the short end of the stick in comparison.
It could be worse.
Always could be worse.
Yep.
I've said that anytime you feel like you got things kind of bad in life, tap the person next to you on the shoulder. Ask them their story. You go, ooh. Oh, boy. Yeah. God is good. And it looks like we might be getting another call. Hello, who are you and where are you from?
Hey, this is John Mason coming from Edenton, North Carolina.
All right. Got somebody from Edenton on the NENC Sports Radio Show. Coach Antonio Moore from Northeastern is here. What question do you have for him?
I got a few questions I want to ask to see if they're mentally prepared for this season, being the stronger and mentally prepared.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, if you're not mentally prepared for Edenton, you might as well don't show up. So I would like to say that we're mentally tough, but it's been a tough week, being out of school and practicing without being in school. So You don't know how your kids are treating their bodies during the day when you don't see them. So hopefully we are.
How do you feel about that Edenton or Hereford County?
That was a shocker because I thought it would be a closer game than that. But too much Bailey, too much read option, actually too much defense. So
right.
They played well. Edenton owed them from last year. But, and looking at the film, Edenton shot themselves in the foot last year with turnovers, and they turned the ball over against Hereford County this year also. But Hereford County couldn't cash in on those turnovers, and Edenton did a good job keeping them out of the end zone. So that was a shocker to me.
Well, I'll be ready to be to the game Friday night. Thank you. That's all the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discover graduate education at Elizabeth City State University. ECSU currently offers 4 graduate degree programs: elementary education, biological sciences, school administration, and mathematics. To learn more, contact the Office of Graduate Education at 252-335-3947 or online at ecsu.edu.
I wanna tease you. I wanna please you.
Hey, Malcolm. The winner of Edenton Northeastern football gets the inside track to the title. Who else could have a chance to win the title if it's not Edenton Northeastern?
Nobody.
Nobody got a chance at it.
He sweat. The only guy I know that can talk a song out.
Give me a few more bars, Keith. You got it. Well, Twitter shouting.
Your tweets go here. Twitter shouts.
Last week's guest, Sam Walker. He's at Sam Walker OBX. This is what he had to say. Edenton at Curry Tuck postponement was no doubt the right call. Would have been miserable conditions all night. Yeah, it was miserable on Thursday. And then the crazy part about it is Friday was fine.
Yes, that's right.
Friday was a great night.
Yeah.
How do you figure?
But you can't, listen, in defense of the athletic directors, you got to make these calls Monday or Tuesday. The storm looks like it's coming right at the area, like the eye going across Elizabeth City bad. And then it just somehow makes a turn. We got our reasons for that, Malcolm. There was a female tropical storm right off the coast, and it did one of those things like, hey, what you doing? I'm just trying to tear up this coast. What's happening? My parents aren't home, and then it turned around.
Wobble a little to the east.
Yeah, it did a little. It had to get a little sexy time on the ocean, so it turns. These things happen. You know how hurricanes start? You know how hurricanes get their beginning? Because it's always got to start from something. Something small and becomes what it is. Elephants farting off Africa. That's a burst. Then it just kind of gets going up with a couple clouds, and you got yourself a storm. And Smokey Robinson would not say a quiet storm. We encourage all of you to tweet about any NC sports, and yours might get put on the air. Just post your thoughts or questions. We'll try to answer them. Use the hashtag NENC Sports. Now we got some predictions.
NENC Picks of the Week.
Everyone wants to know our predictions for that game, but we got 3 other games to talk about first because, of course, Creswell-Camden, that's postponed. Camden schools are out through Friday. Perquimans, Plymouth, very likely postponed Friday because Perquimans is out Friday. Don't know about Plymouth yet, but I'm sure Washington County, it took a pretty big hit.
Yeah, I believe they were out as of Wednesday. So
there you go. So let's start with Bertie at First Flight, the Nighthawks. I like the Braxton Hughes kid at quarterback. I really do. I liked him during 7-on-7 this summer, but I always take 7-on-7 with a grain of salt because there's no line there to protect you. But he still looks good during the season. Really came in at Pasquotank all business-like. Pasquotank drops the ball twice inside the 10. First Flight goes up 15-0. It was like a 15-point. That was the final margin of victory. So First Flight taking advantage of mistakes. I got to pick the Nighthawks. Bertie's going through a whole lot as well. And so did Dare County. Look at the beach road. There was somebody driving their truck on the beach road, pulling a water skier. Wow. And they were skiing on the beach road. There was so much water on it.
Wow.
These are things you do on the Outer Banks, though, just to have a good time. just making the best out of a tough situation is what it would be. And so there's still a lot of flooding in Dare County, but they were back in school Wednesday. I think they had to delay Wednesday. So Bertie and First Flight is on. I got the Nighthawks.
I'm going to have to go with First Flight. I don't think at the beginning of the year a lot of people had First Flight to be in the position that they were at this point in the season.
They could be third in the conference.
Absolutely, and could be in front of Hereford County. That could be a big game down the road at the end of the season. Just kind of impressed with how First Flight's kind of progressed this year. I'm going to go with First Flight.
Yeah, that's the undercard for the matchup that we'll get to in just a minute. Bertie at First Flight, what do you got, Coach?
First Flight, all the way. Very physical. Can throw the ball, can run the ball, and don't make many mistakes. Jim Prince has those guys in the weight room, year round, and it's showing right now. I mean,
here's where I'm impressed with First Flight the most: the run game. First Flight's always had a kid that can throw the ball and a couple of guys who can jump up and get it. But Jennings, Baker, Parker, Sylvia, these running backs,
big offensive line.
Right, that never hurts.
Guys.
They are big.
I'm like, if I had a couple of those guys.
Yeah. So that's where I've been impressed the most. And something you're not going to see during 7-on-7, so that was another part of that. Hertford County at Pasquotank. Panthers took it on the chin, like we said, against First Flight. Back home, Hertford County. And we've kind of dogged Hertford County a little bit for the sportsmanship aspect, body slamming players. This isn't a Hertford County team we've seen with Coach Terrence Saxby before. I don't know why. There's been some things he's had to address, I'm sure. If you're Pasquotank, Coach Chris McGee, you've got to be saying, just look forward, guys. You have a chance for a winning record, only the second time ever in Pasquotank history. You have a chance to be in the playoffs, although I think they'll make the playoffs even if they lose out, but you don't want to do that, obviously. Another win, though, gets you a winning season no matter what. There's still a lot to play for. If you're Pasquotank, you beat Hertford County. That's another feather in the cap. I just don't see it happening. I think there's going to be too much Hertford County here. It's just too explosive. And they are playing a little bit better football, even other than the Edenton game. Bears.
I'm about to go with Hertford County as well. You got to kind of think that they still kind of feel like they got a chance at maybe sneaking up in the conference standings. With Pasquotank, even if Avion James does play, how effective is he going to be after he was out with the concussion last week? With that all said, I'm go with Hertford County.
Malcolm, did you not hear the song earlier? Who else has a chance at the conference title?
Nobody.
There you go. Antonio Moore, Hertford County, Pasquotank.
Well, I got to first say I'm not picking Hertford County because the rival between Northeastern and Pasquotank. I'm picking Hertford County because, like Malcolm said, they feel like they still have a shot to win the conference championship. They're hoping that we can be fortunate enough to beat Edenton, which will give them a loss, and then we have to play Hertford County, up the road, and then they'll give them hope that that they can beat us, so they'll make a three-way tie.
Nobody.
But Hertford County has a lot of confidence from beating Bertie. I mean, I was surprised they beat Bertie so bad. What was the score, 48-6?
Something like that.
And Bertie was coming off an impressive win against Riverside, a top 10 1A school. Yep. That kind of threw me off with Bertie because of the season they've been having. And again, just as much off the field has been tough for Coach Grantley Mazzell as on the field.
Exactly.
There's a lot of outside factor, and really for everybody to a certain degree because of the weather.
But Hertford County.
ECSU at Lincoln. We can go college real quick. Now, ECSU's never lost to the Lincoln. Always had it easy against the Lincoln. But you're going to the Lincoln.
Yeah.
Long trip. I did like the Vikings fight, at least in the second half, down at Virginia State and could have folded the tent. Did not do so. To me, this is ECSU's last victory of the season. Go ahead and grab it now. Because you got Chowan, you got Union, Virginia Union, and Bowie. Bowie State.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go with ECSU. Just looking at Lincoln, it seems like they've been really struggling this year. I think they only got one win on the year. like you said, this might be the only win that the Vikings get the rest of the year. They really need this one. Then next week you got 2 consecutive games coming up home. They really need this one. I'm going to go with the Vikings.
Well, I like the way you say Lincoln's struggling this year. They struggle every year.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why I didn't use the struggling.
I knew
struggling harder than usual.
They if ECSU don't win this game, they need to stop playing football.
That almost happened a couple years ago.
Well,
last time they went to Lincoln, a 1-point game.
Well, I'm serious about it.
Edenton at Northeastern. Bada bing, bada boom. Here's what we got. I'm going to go with Malcolm first because we know where he's coming. We actually had somebody on Twitter say, I like the coverage, but I'm kind of hating on Malcolm right now for his pick. So your chance to respond, Malcolm.
Edenton has been consistent most of the year. The one thing I've been impressed with is been their defense. Like you mentioned earlier, there's always going to be some odd stuff that happens in this game. I think it's going to be more high scoring, 37-34 for Edenton.
Picking the Aces by 3, 37-34.
Yep.
We'll leave Antonio out of it. He's going to Kurt Herbstreit this one. So I think in the end it's going to be how does Edenton stop J.R. Walker and Travion Freshwater? I know that's been a huge emphasis for the Aces all week. How are we going to do that? I think one way you do that is you wear out Freshwater on defense, and then maybe on offense he doesn't have much left to give. But that's easier said than done. I don't know if that's going to happen. And yeah, Northeastern home, that should be a lift. But we've seen this game at the Northeastern Athletic Complex before. I saw a crowd in 2012 that I've never seen before at that complex. I'm talking games against Rose and that team. When you were 4A, I'd never seen the place that full before. I think this could be near that level of attendance. It's going to be that big. It's unfortunate it's not the last game of the year. That's what made it bigger in 11 and 12. It was the last game of the year. You knew, just go ahead and move to that game because that's going to be for the title. But really, this is still for the title. It really is. I'm going to have to give Northeastern the slightest of edge. They've won 4 in a row. Edenton's coming in confident. They got that swagger again. They've really got that swagger. Leave the social media posts. The swagger is there. Timon Stallings, your boy at Northeastern, says they're going to be 5,000 people at the game. I don't know how you're going to fit 5,000 people at the complex, but if enough are standing around, maybe that would be a great crowd, and would that'd be like 3 gates for you in one. And Northeastern certainly needs that with the road warriors that you've been. I'm going to give Northeastern the slightest edge. I mean, this is going to be another nail biter, fourth quarter. Let's say Edenton puts the ball on the ground a couple of times. Mm-hmm. The option that can happen. That's where it's going to take somebody from Northeastern to come up and really pop somebody and pick up the ball. I think a couple turnovers will really tell the tale here.
I agree. I don't have a prediction, but I will tell you this, that I think that who turns the ball over the most will not be successful.
That would always be the case with any sport, any matchup, yes.
Well, usually. But I've seen some games where teams turn the ball over and won.
Just on pure talent.
Exactly.
But in this game, I think the talent level is just about even. You got the flashier names, but Edenton's got the defense that's only given up how many points?
I think they've given up more than 20 points once this year. And I think that was the
Rocky Mountain,
yeah.
And here's another way you can do the head-to-head thing if you want to make it off this way. Toughest opponent for Northeastern, Lake Taylor. Toughest opponent for Edenton, Rocky Mountain. Edenton had Rocky Mountain on the ropes. Y'all just playing who could score more against Lake Taylor.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to go that route, toughest game on the schedule, then you would give Edenton the edge. But we just don't know what Rocky Mountain Lake Taylor do against each other. I think you're just taking it too far with all of this.
Well, if you want to talk about toughness of schedule, there's no comparison. Toughness of schedule.
What?
Well, I think part of that too. Southwest Edgecombe is having a pretty down year. Edenton played Southwest this year. won easily. And that was probably looked at as a tougher team non-conference than what it turned out to be. And Booker T. Washington, not that good of a team in the 7-5-7. So
Southwest Edgecombe
you compare
beat Bertie by 6.
Yeah, if you compare Hunt and Nash to those two, Hunt and Nash get the leg up. So there's the other part of the schedule. Yes. We're right back where we started. Yeah. I'm
coin flip.
We will not do that. Well,
not for this game.
No.
As far as any high school roundup, of course, there's only been one game of note. First Flight Volleyball beat Edenton in 3, and that's really it. So I guess that means, well, I think we know what that means.
Yep.
It's time to put on some slow jams. So it's time to wrap it up. As we close it, remember to follow us on Twitter at NENC Sports. ONOBX.
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
For the latest sports updates and pick up a copy of the Daily Advance newspaper. We got YouTube. The YouTube issue of the show. Check that out. Just search WRVS 89.9 or NENC Sports. You can find it. Coach, any last comments? We always love having you on the show.
Just remember, 2 Live 44.
Yep. We will. For Owen Hassel, Malcolm Shields, and Coach Antonio Moore, happy Edenton Northeastern week. And it's the NENC, don't you see?
Athletes live here.
NENC Sports Radio Show is produced at the WRVS-FM studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University.